So of course, if you want to participate, I know you're very numerous, but if you feel like participating, please don't hesitate. I've put the definition that I found in a trend forecaster handbook, and I really recommend this book to you as students if you want to know more about trends, because it's really well made. It's not really directly related to textile, but they provide you some methodologies to figure out how to work with trends. So according to Martin Raymond, the author of the Trend Forecast Handbook, he says, at its most basic, a trend can be defined as a direction, and this word is very important, that was I emphasized on it, a direction. So we can say that the direction can rise or fall down, and a trend, and you know that for the trend is the same thing. Something can be trendy and have a lot of potential, or you know that when a trend is more mature, then the turnover of the product, the trendy product, will fall down. So the direction is very important. And he said that, so in which something and something can be anything, and we talk about trends today for almost anything. It can be food, cosmetic, lifestyle, even real estate. So we can apply the word of trend for everything. Tends to move and which has a consequential impact on the culture, society or business sector through which it moves. And the word impact is as well very important, because when you think about it, when you look at what was the 90s, what was the 80s, what was the 70s, and so on, you'll always remember some key trends from that area. And you can recognize in a movie, for instance, by the way people are dressed, what was the trend of this area, and you can know if the movies is about the 80s, 70s, and so on. And we don't have the feeling today about what will last in 10 years, about what we're wearing today, but we are doing the trends of tomorrow somehow. And when your children will look at a movie that has been done today, they will say, like, it has been done in the mid-10 because you have this kind of outfit and it was very popular and everything. So this is also about looking at what's happening in a society, and this is about looking at ourselves, and trends are also about anthropological impact on the society. So why do we need them? Because of course, you know, say that maybe we don't need to follow the trends, and if you're a designer, maybe you just can bring something new on the market and everyone will follow. But we still need them, especially if you will work in a company that will do mainstream garments, but it will work on a mainstream offer. We need them because, of course, you need them to make money, because if you get people what they want at the right time, with the right color, the right fabric, the right shape, then of course the customer will come to your shop more often and you will make more money for sure. So it's a very huge business in this industry. Then you need it, of course, to create as well, and I've quote someone very famous that you might recognize, I guess, and he said, creativity is just connecting things, understanding and observing trends added to a good knowledge of your brand DNA allows you to be the creative in your domain. So also it's very important to watch at what your consumer is expecting from you, to figure out how you can connect the trends with your brand DNA to provide something that the consumer will want and to bring something new on the market. We need trends to innovate, so of course it's a part of the creation. Innovation is a part of the creation, and I've put you this example, which is virtual reality glasses. You might have heard about the Oculus Rift from Google, all these new augmented reality, new devices. So I'm pretty sure that you know how it works. So basically, you have a video that will come in front of your eyes, and when you will move, the video will move with yourself. So it's like if you were in a digital surrounding that you will think it's real. So they use this device today for video game mainly. But imagine yourself in maybe 5 years, you are the head of a fashion company, and you know that this technology does exist. So what you will do is that you will create content for your consumer, so that when you will need to go shopping, you will just have to plug this helmet and wander in your shop and try garment without being in your store. It will remain in his living room and will be able to shop at your place, at your store. So that's why also you need to know in terms of trends what's happening in terms of technology so that you will be ahead in terms of innovation and you will provide your consumer new experiences. And of course, we need trends because we all want to have this integration feeling. So you might have heard, I suppose, about the hipster craze everywhere. And this hipster craze is international, and you can find it in India, you can find it in China, even if it's very difficult sometimes for Asian guys to grow a beard, but it does exist. You have the Muslim hipster as also a movement. And so this hipster thing has become a craze, and some people want to belong to these hipster things because they know that it is trendy, and if you want to show that you know what's happening in a society, then you want to show to people that you are in the know, and you will want to adapt the hipster thing. And it works for almost everything. If you want to show also as a girl that you are in the know, you will wear the right dress, you will wear the right shoes, you will have the right haircut, and so on. So we need also to follow trends and to provide trendy product to our consumers so that they will relate to this integration feeling. Then about trend cycle, I will say that it's the most difficult part of the job of trendsetter to know when a trend will rise and when it's time to get over it. And we have a lot of debates inside the company whether we want to keep on going about the leopard print, for instance, that is still very popular in China, and it's no more that popular in Europe. So you might want to know whether when you launch a new product, you're more into the innovation part, early adopter part, early majority part, late majority, or if you are a laggard. I will say that it also depends on the positioning of a brand. Some wants to remain very edgy, and they will want to stay forever in the innovation and early adopter part. But if you are H&M, Zara, or a more mainstream brand, then you will want to get the 34% of the early majority plus the late majority. So you will want to get more or less 68% of the market. So of course the mainstream market is in the middle. Everything is clear so far? Yes, perfect. Then I have taken the example of the slim pants that was very popular by the beginning of the year 2000. And I have applied on it what I call the Paul Poiret's rule. So Paul Poiret, you might have heard about him. He was a very famous French designer by the beginning of the 20th century. He's considered as one of the designers that has launched haute couture with worth. And he said, all excess, when it comes to fashion, announces its end. And he applied this quote on hats because at this period of time, the hats were so overloaded of ornamentation that when someone, and this someone was Chanel actually, came with a very simple hat, everyone wanted to adopt this new hat because when it's too, you have too much excess on a product, then you want to have something new. And we can say that it's the same thing with the slim pant. When the slim pant has appeared on the market, it was very simple, raw denim. Then we have applied washes, because if you remember the growth curve that we have seen previously, we can say that when the raw denim pants will go down, it's time to launch something new to give more chance to your product to stay longer on the market, and so we have applied washes. Then we have applied so many washes that it was almost bleached. And then when we have done all the thing we could with the bleaching, then you had made, well, we have seen on the market that it has been made with colors. So we have a lot of denim, color denim, slim pants. And then it was really over. Then we had a new shape that has came on the market that was a carrot pant. And now we have the flare and so on. So this is how the cycle of the trends work more or less in fashion. And it will be the same for jacket. Jacket, for instance, you have a raw denim jacket, then you will have an ornamentation on it. then we will change color, and then you will have another shape of jacket and so on. You always have this kind of cycle. And it's the same if you look at the technological product as well. If you look at what Apple is doing, they do the same. They will launch a new product, not to afraid the consumer, in a very simple version because you have a new technology. So most of the products they launch on the market for the first time, it's white. And then they will provide colors. Now you have golden finishes and so on. So they applied also the same trend cycle. So now that we have it in mind, I just wanted to tell you about the company I'm working for, Promosteel. So as I said, it has been launched in 1966, so we are celebrating our 50 years of experience today. We work with a lot of professionals worldwide, with architects, designers, journalists, anthropologists, so that we will be able to survey what's happening on the market, what's happening in consumer heads, so that we will be more accurate to create new trends. What we do is so market trends, and as I showed you, also in technology, cosmetics, we also provide consumer insights. We do brand strategy. We also develop collection. This is the heart of our business that we have launched in 1966, but more and more consumers are asking us to work on their branding and on consumer insights. And we do also more and more retail space and space design, and also training and conferences. So our field is larger and larger. We do not work only for fashion. We work also for sportswear. Even sometimes we are asked to do some outfit for dogs and cats. So you can say that it's very, very wide. But when it comes to creation, then we are able to work on this. And the methodology, and this is what I wanted to emphasize on when I will present you the spring and summer 17 trends, right? The methodology. When we work on the trend book, usually we have a big meeting each season to start the season, and we gather designers, we gather journalists, we gather people from marketing, we gather anthropologists, we gather like maybe 10 to 15 person in the same room, and we ask them what they think, what they feel is important today, and then we will cross the data that we have, even some figures, some statistics, because it's very also important to figure out if what we talk about is mainstream or if it's emerging. And then we analyze the data we have gathered in these big meetings, and then we start to do the creation. So this is what we will do for the spring and summer 17 trends. We always develop 4 different directions to answer 4 different markets. We always have a theme that will be very natural, very ecological. That will be the theme alliances. We always have a theme that is more luxurious. That will be interiors. We always have a theme that is more technological. So it's at the back of the screen, but it's bottom of the screen, it's a phenomenon. And we always have another theme that will be more mainstream and that reflect the aesthetic of our contemporary world. And this one will be the one on the bottom right. It's called Easy. And each season, we always have these mega trends that will evolve. So you always have the same pattern, basically, but it will be done in a different way. Each season also, what we do is that we have a keyword that we place in the middle of our 4 different directions. And this one is called humanities. We have chosen this word because when we have done our very big meeting, we were very concerned about what we saw on the press, and not on the fashion reviews, not on the fashion press. We more watch what's happening on economical business and social press. And you know, and it's also a big concern in India, that in the world we were barely 1 billion at the beginning of the 20th century. And the demographic person say that we might be 10 billions by 2050, which means that we will multiply the number of persons by 100 in by 10, in 100 in 1 century, more about 1 century and a half. So that's a lot of person that we will need to feed, that we will need to bring water, that we will have to dress. And you might be aware about this concern because, of course, China and India will be the one that will be touched very much by this concern. So it means in one way, we need to produce more. We need to have a bigger textile industry because, of course, the demand will grow. So we need to produce more, but on one side, on the other side, we need to preserve the resources because otherwise we won't have any more resources to produce and to answer the demand. So we have a paradox here today, and what we have seen is that designers and companies are trying to figure out how we can solve this issue, how we can solve this paradox. And they find ways to design products with few resources. They find ways to implement the cradle-to-cradle ecological concern. I saw that you have also a Green Week, so you might be very aware about this kind of issues. So we see young designers that find new way to communicate, new way to produce, new way to create to answer this concern. And also with what's happening in the society, we can wonder what's the position of the human being today. Because of this ecological concern, but also because of the technological concern, some people say that artificial intelligence might replace in 2 centuries the human brain. So we can wonder also why are we here on Earth, and what's our position in this society and in this world. So this is what we have worked. I mean, this is a background of the trend, and this is what we have worked for this season, and we have 4 different answers. So I hope it makes sense so far, but of course I'll be glad to answer any questions so far, and then so we will move to the spring and summer 17 trends. So we say that we had the ecological concerns that were very important and the technological concerns that were very important. We have a lot of natural color range for this season, especially in alliances, especially in interiors, the luxurious theme. And we have some color that are more related to technology that will be phenomenon. So we have applied also some effects in our color trend books with some iridescent aspect, with some gold aspects for phenomenon. And we also have a need for simplicity that we have worked in the theme Easy, and you can see that the color range for Easy is quite simple. So this is basically how we work on the background and how we will apply all this lifestyle findings that we had in our meetings in the creation. When we look also at trends, and we say that, you know, today you have the feeling that everything is new. When you look at the press, when you look at Vogue, they will say that green is new. Green has never been new, green has always existed. But they have a way to communicate on it that make you feel that you have a new trends around green, for instance. What we do at Promosi is not looking at a new color, it's more looking at the new harmonies. A couple of seasons ago, blue and orange were very popular in terms of trends for summer. And you might know why it's that popular is because orange and blue are complementary colors. So it's very easy to play with the contrast, but we have seen on the trend that this combination was evolving, and it's no more about blue and orange, it's more about blue and browns. So this is a new way also to update some color combination and bring something new to your consumer. The other orientation is about the pastel color, so how to combine them, and the evolution of them is more soft than before. Before the colors were a little bit more bright, and we can see that today it's a little bit slightly more dusty. And another color combination, also it's on the purples. So we can say that especially in Europe, purple is not a very popular color. So we have the feeling that we rediscover this color and it's becoming fancy again, but you can see that The merging of purple and gold is more unexpected, especially in the Europe and Western countries. So that's why we have worked on this color combination. And the other one, very simple, more sporty, and you have seen also that Chanel, Dior, and all the luxury brands are working on these sporty color trends. So we have an evolution of this flag color, this graphical color of blue, red, but we have added a turquoise color, and actually it's not a white, it's a slightly pinky color to renew the color combination that is expected by the consumer and to provide something that is already known, but with a hint of novelty. So now we'll go a little bit more deeper in the theme. The first one, alliances, as I said, it's the most natural, ecological one. We have been inspired by all the, of course, of the ecological documentary that you have today on YouTube, but also on the movies and so on. The one that you have on the top left is called The War of the Seed. It has been very popular in France, but you also have a person that represents well this movement from India. It's Vandana Shiva. I'm not sure I'm spelling it right. But there is this movement that will want to preserve the cultural and agricultural, the way we will manage to have foods in the future that shouldn't be industrial, but quite much more natural. It's also very interesting, and I'm very glad to be here today also to testimony on that, that we assist to a switch of values, I think, between Western countries and Eastern countries. And I've seen that, especially in China, because we go there very, very often. What we can see is that maybe 10 years ago, young Chinese would want to refuse their traditional roots to embrace modernity. So what was traditional, what was handcrafted, was to them very tacky. They wanted to have a manufactured product. They wanted to have something that show that they were in the industrial world, in the modern world. In Europe, it's quite the contrary. We want to refuse an industrial product, and we would want to prefer to have a handcraft product. And you can see that also in the spiritual aspects. In Europe, for instance, we all are discovering Krishnamurti. We discover spiritual, oriental things, even for the young generation, or the young generation in China will want more to embrace the Western culture. So we kind of have a switch. There is a sentence that has been said by Jacques Attali, we say and summarize that well. Jacques Attali is a philosopher, let's say a French philosopher, and he said that in Western countries we pray God so that all of our desire will be fulfilled, while in Eastern countries we pray God to get free from our desire. So you can see the differences, and we kind of feel that there is a switch of these values between Eastern and Western countries. And this is what we have worked on alliances, on the fact that we need to go back actually the way our grandfather were, a more simple and obvious way of doing things, and get rid about the industrial world, the chemical in our food, the fact that we don't really know what we eat anymore, and so on. So that's why we have this kind of comeback and focus on the agricultural world. We also have found out that more and more we think about our differences, but we think about what we have in common. And what we have in common is the languages, and some linguists have found that we have common roots in India, in French, in English, We almost have the same word to say mum, for instance, in many, many languages, and we have these common roots. And we have worked on this common culture, this common craftsmanship that you can see now on the catwalk, made by the luxurious brands such as Valentino, who is also playing with ethnical codes. And all the brands we want to come back to very precious and traditional craftsmanship. So this is the foundation of this theme that we wanted to work, so working on craftsmanship and working on the tradition of our ancestor. So we wanted to have a common color range, since we wanted to work also on this common things on languages, on agricultural environments, and going back to the roots. So that's why we have worked a color range that is universal, because it's composed of blues and browns, and we are all in touch with blues and browns. So that's why we can say it's universal. Well, all except Parisian people, because unfortunately most of the time it's gray and the blue. But we will work with this very natural combination. Then we have sub-stories within one big theme, and this first stories is called minority craft, so still on the craftsmanship. We will work on woven pattern, we will work on canvas in terms of fabric, we'll work on craftsmanship, but what is interesting to notice is that instead of taking cotton thread, we have new kind of material in it. This designer, for instance, has worked with paper cuts to make this design. So she wanted also to bring something new to make this color woven aspect. This is a basket made of stones. So the designer take a kind of canvas, and step by step he will apply drops of water, and thanks the mineral that are in the water, he managed to do this kind of basket. But of course it takes time, and the more time you take, and the more refined the basket will be. And here you also have experimentation with fabrics that will mix leather and natural fabrics. So it's a new way to experiment craftsmanship. So this is what we have found in terms of design, in terms of young designer spirit and so on. And then we have a designer that will make the creation according to what we have said previously, so the craftsmanship, and in this story especially how to renew the canvas and how to renew this kind of craftsmanship inside the design. So it can be a print for the men's shirts, very popular, very easy, and you can see that we have mixed the blue color with brown orangey, so to renew the orange and blue combination that is very popular in summer. Also we can play with this kind of pattern on the top for the ornamentation, and to leave the fringes as for the accessories for the women's wear. So I guess, thanks. I guess you can see how we work, and then I will go maybe a little bit faster, because I just wanted to really emphasize on the process, and then it will be the same thing. We were talking about universal color, we were talking about blues. Of course, we have a focus on indigo, since a dyeing that exists almost everywhere. You can find it in Asia, you can find it in Oceania, you can find it in Africa, and so on. So we have a very big focus on indigo. That's a way also to renew the denim and the jeanswear. So we have several ways to renew it. Very clean, very proper here, with this chambray dress that you will just renew with ruffle. Also here with this kind of dress that is a little bit more boxy. We also have ethnical twist here, using ethnical patterns. We can have a way to apply indigo in a more, let's say, refined way for menswear. And we also have a way to renew denim for the youth market, using also some 70s influences with the flare, for instance. And this is some outfit that you can see a lot in the summer festivals, such as Burning Man, Coachella. Young people will want to wear this kind of 70s outfit to recall, of course, Woodstock and all the festival that they haven't had the chance to experiment. So do I as well. And one of the other sub-categories, it's more ethnical. Ethnical and graphic. In the 90s, and especially in the Western countries, this kind of patterns was very popular. And of course, it's been 20 years, even 25 years, so it's almost a generation, the 90s. And it's kind of logic to see that the 90s and all that existed in the 90s is coming back. Since if you think about it, people that are at the head of the maison de couture today, they are between 30 and 40, and they were teenager or young adults during this period of time, and they are very nostalgic of this period, usually because you're younger and you don't pay tax, so you feel like you were happier. Well, you can enjoy it while you're young, because I'm pretty sure that in 10 years you will think the same. But while you feel like you were younger, so you feel maybe that it was a most happier timing, and these people will want to see their influences from their childhood or influences that they haven't known and they fantasize on today. But of course it will be updated, and the update will be made with the contemporary codes that we have today. And the contemporary code we have today is about minimalism. So you will mix this ethnical influence from the 90s with the minimalistic code of today. Hope it makes sense. But that's why we have this ethnical pattern made in a very graphical way. It's very graphical, and actually you mix minimalism, new technology as well, because you can do it with laser cut, as you can see here on this swimsuit. But you mix minimalism and ethnical, and this is also what our designers have done. So you will be careful with the color range, not to blend too many color, and to have something that will be very geometrical and very minimalistic, but with the touch of some ethnical twists, such as Fendi has made here, for instance. So this is how it works. Now we will detail a little bit more about interiors. So the background of interior. So interior, we have seen that alliances is the most ecological and natural one. So this will answer some market needs. Of course, you can blend all the theme, but this is more so dedicated to the natural market needs. Interiors is more dedicated to the luxurious market needs. And the story, what has inspired us, is the fact that we see more and more shops, we see more and more people also saying that they are kind of fed up with technology, with the digital world. They feel slave to their smartphone. And even the first thing I do when I go in a foreign country is to ask for the Wi-Fi code. So it's really mean that I'm a slave to this, and I think we are all. So now you can see that some places that do not have any Wi-Fi connection make it an argument, a marketing argument, make it a marketing asset. So here you can see no Wi-Fi zone, free conversation. And that's why we have forget about talking to each other, because we spend our time talking to our smartphone. And you also have places today, very luxurious hotel that will sell to their consumer that they do not have any Wi-Fi, they do not have internet connection, so that you will be more relaxed and think about yourself, your inner connection. So the goal here is to disconnect yourself, to reconnect with yourself, more or less. You might have heard about the word of FOMO, which means fear of missing out. The fact that when you're not connected for 2 days in Facebook, you have the feeling that the world has continued to live without you, and you are kind of afraid about it. But now you have a new word. It's called JOMO, the joy of missing out. And the goal is to leave your smartphone somewhere, to take time to listen to music. I'm pretty sure that today you listen to music and you do something else, such as many people. But now the goal is really to focus on something, on one task, and to enjoy it as much as you can. So to be dedicated on one task, to feel more and to be more connected to yourself. So this is one point. You also have Diesel that has launched an advertising campaign, still very funny as usual, saying that they have relaunched a pre-internet shoe, like it was a prehistoric one. So it's a shoe that from the 70s that they have chosen to launch. And you also have, in this theme, a lot of wing to the 19th century that could be also linked to the English legacy that you have here in India. The fact of living in a house with no internet connection in the 90s, to take the time to dress up, to be in a boudoir, to have this spleen feeling, to take time to lose it, actually. So these are some movies that we had. Madame Bovary, a very famous character from the 19th century. We had also a lot of exhibition on this area when you didn't have internet and you had the time to lose it. And you also have, let's say, old leisure that are coming back in hype, such as gardening. It's becoming a huge thing in Western countries because it's also a new way to meditate. And bookstore that are almost everywhere. In the restaurants, then you have a lot of library that are put in the restaurant. And here it was in Sonia Rykiel, the shop in Paris. They have put to launch their new collection, a whole library in their store. So we have also this craze around books and not about tablets anymore. So this come back of an old lifestyle that is becoming very, very hype today. So concerning the color range, it's also an old color range, retro spirit color range, with some floral color here, almost dusty, also to renew the pastel, and dark color for the summer collections, which are more unexpected than usual. The first sub-story of interiors, so it's wallpaper romance. We have seen a lot of this kind of wallpaper in the fair, design fair, lately. So when you see this kind of things, you say, okay, this is not very new because maybe your grandmother has it already. But you have to figure out what's happening today. Today, as we say, the contemporary codes are about minimalism. So when we talk about interior design, it's all about the IKEA fashion, Scandinavian fashion, very minimalistic, very pure. And when you have a trend, usually you also have a counter trend. So this is kind of the opposite of the IKEA minimalistic Scandinavian trends, and it's very opulent, very generous, a lot of flower, of course, as you can see in the interior design, but also in fashion. And you might have noticed that in the catwalk you also had a lot of jacquards, flower jackets. So we will continue this trend around flower. As you can see here, this is what our designers have developed. So all the jacquard floral jacket, for instance, that you can wear as a total look, or you can wear with just one piece. For the menswear as well, we will have this kind of floral prints, but with two color or tone-on-tone color range, because of course the menswear is usually less fancy than the woman wardrobe. You can see it also on all the accessory, and you can also see it on the youth market with also some graphical insert, since we have some white block that will be a contrast with all the floral silhouette. The second one, we have called it Oriental Wrap because it's all about kimonos, and we have seen plenty on those on the catwalks. So the story is still about taking your time, wearing like a homeware style outside. So all this homeware design, homeware kimono that can be an inspiration for a daily wardrobe, as you can see here, for instance. And the mood, as you can see, is very oriental, spirit oriented. Here it's Turkish interior, but of course you have plenty of influences in India as well to play with. So still a lot of flower. This one are more Japanese oriented. And kimonos sleeves as well, so to play with boxy design when you do your jacket or when you do your shirt. And the third one, artist in residency. We have chosen also this orientation because more and more we want to be connected with the artist, and we want to know the background of a product. When you buy something, more and more you want to know what's behind it. And today, when you buy a piece of art, you will want to meet the artist if you have the opportunity. So you will want to be more intimate with the designers, with the stylists, with the artist. And we can see that as well in the new launching of shops that we experience, and especially in Western countries, because as you know, it's a crisis, so people do not have that much money to launch a lot of shops. And you have Moroso, which is a design company, Italian design company, for instance, that have launched a showroom that look like an apartment. And you also have a lot of French brands, very popular, that do not have enough money, enough cash to launch new shops. So they will buy an apartment and redesign it as a showroom, and they call it an apartment. And the way they will market it is that the consumer will have a more VIP link with the designer, and the connection with the consumer and the brand will be deeper, and so on. So it's a new way also to market the retail and to launch showroom like if it was an artist place, an artist house. So the artistic touch will be put even on the streetwear for the jacket, for instance. We will see artwork as an inspiration for the print. Also, all the drop of painting can be an inspiration for this sweater. And even in a sportswear, to renew the floral print, we can have this kind of artistic inspiration. Then we'll move to the most technological theme of the season, phenomenon. So we have seen the natural one, we have seen the vintage, luxurious one. So this one is more technological oriented. So we have seen a lot of new things that were very, very exciting, and that will come on the market maybe soon, who knows. So you might be very familiar with all the sensor when you do your jogging. You know, you have your Nike sensor in your smartphone that will tell you how many calories you have burned, how many fat you have burned, how many kilometers you have made, and so on. So these sensors are very popular. You have a lot of application, but what's new is the application that will monitor your brain. So this helmet is directly connected to your brain electricity. And this artist has asked blind people to focus and think about a specific picture. And when the helmet will feel enough energy in the brain, they will make a big balloon filled of painting explodes on the canvas, so that the blind person will be able to create his own canvas just with the power of his mind. So of course this is an artistic experimentation, but we can imagine that in the future we'll have a lot of this kind of helmets that will help us to be more focused, to relieve some stress, and that will monitor our brain, such as we monitor our body today with this kind of sensor. In terms of fashion, you might have heard about all this new experimentation with sensors as well. This example represents a dress with optical fiber on the front panel. And you have a sensor at the back of this dress that will feel the position you have. So if you're very confident and your position is more like that, then you will have red that will appear on the front panel. But if you feel more relaxed and insecure, then you will have blue on your panel. So this dress will tell your feeling, more or less, and will adapt itself according to what you feel thanks to the sensor it has at the back. Other example as well, the way designer work today, and maybe you do the same to renew the print. So I think it has been done by a student from the RCA, if I remember well. What she has done is she has used reality, thank you. So real things, real oxidation on metal panels. She has wait a long time, and waiting is like a luxury today since you have to do things very quickly each season, but she has wait for the oxidation to be on the metal panel. Then she has take a picture of it, rework it on the computer, and print it on homeware to have this result. So it's a mix of physical, real experimentation, and digital, and not only digital. And we can see also more and more designer and young designer, maybe you do it as well, going back to physical experimentation, to physical creation, and so on. So the color range, technological inspired, it's start very slowly to gain in intensity, as you can see in terms of color value. We start with the renewal of pastel color, and we have applied a coating on our colors, so they have some iridescent aspect, as you can see here on these kind of stones. This one is a gold, a green gold actually, so we still have this kind of reflection. And we still have the combination of pink with green that were very popular the last season, and that we will continue also for the spring and summer 17. The first orientation we have developed in this technological one is the mix of reality and digital applied on rocks, precious rocks. So this is a project of an amethyst hotel. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist yet. I wish it would, but it's just a project. You also have a lot of designers that will mix real photography of this kind of green stone with digital aspects, and the symmetry here is very important. And in terms of prints, especially for the accessories, we will play on this kind of iridescent aspect that recall us the opalescent crystal aspect also that you have. So this is actually the application on our silhouette. So to play with this iridescent crystal effect on the accessories, for instance, that you already had the past season, but they have been very popular, so most of the designer will renew it. Also to print denim with this kind of gradient aspect, as you can see as well here on the jacket, and here for the jumpsuit as well, to play with this kind of iridescent aspect. The second one is more digital oriented. We play with what we call the glitch art. The glitch, it's when you try to take a picture, for instance, and you have a lot of bug in your camera, and then you have some strange things that will appear on your picture. So this is what Christine Fang has made for her collection. For instance, she has taken a broken camera, she has taken picture, and she has played with the results she had on the prints, as you can see on this dress. So this is a direct application. Here with this iridescent aspect on the pleated dress, for instance. The amethyst as well, very important. The shiny aspect even for the menswear. That you can apply on the pants. The third one, digital jungle, so it's also a way to renew all the digital prints we had the past season, but still with this digital insert, so with this digital color, and also the symmetrical aspect, as you can see also on the Stella McCartney bag. And this is the application, so to play with jungle prints, but with this symmetry, and with some digital also inspiration that you can apply on sporty garments, sporty outfits, especially with the details such as the drawstring, for instance, all these products which come directly from the 90s. And we will finish with easy. So it's the most, let's say, the most contemporary and the most minimalistic theme that we have this season. So those are the inspiration. You have plenty, if you go on Pinterest, you will see plenty of those kind of picture. It's a way to renew still life, and the photographer and designer who are doing this kind of photographic composition are really keen to play on color, to play on the background with color paper. It's becoming very, very popular. So this is something very huge in terms of design inspiration. And we will see it also in the design development that we have made. Also the fact that sometimes the simple solution are the best. This represents an experimentation that has been made in the south of France Some doctors have made some recommendation to their patients. They say that if you feel depressed, go surfing. And actually the state reimburse people who will go surfing in Biarritz, a city in south of France. And they have seen that the results were better with people who were surfing than the result they had with people who will take medicine. So it means that sometimes the most natural and the most funny things is the best anti-depressing thing. And it's better to take that than to take medicine. So as we say, it's we will focus on the easier solution. Easy as well, all these brands that are on the sportswear, but the sportswear from the 90s and 80s that used to be very simple, such as this Brooklyn label, who has revisited all the classic sportswear outfits from the 90s. So as you can see, the color range is very simple. It is white, blue, and red. Also in terms of packaging, the no tag and no label packaging. So we have, for instance, this wine bottle without any writing on it. It's just about the graphic design, so something very easy. And we also have a wink to the Memphis style. You might have heard about it, maybe in your design history classes. Memphis is a stylish design movement of the 80s, and they will use this kind of geometric intervention of the designs. They will play geometrical and colored pattern on the design. So this is what has inspired us to build the story and to build the color range. That is very easy, as his name says. So easy, we will find a blue, a red, so sporty color that we will mix with sweet and candy color, such as this pink, this chamallow, for instance, this lemon, and summer color, such as this turquoise, for instance. But as you can see, it's very childish, very easy, and that we will apply it to the sportswear industry, for instance. So far, we have talked a lot about prints, the floral prints in interiors, our second theme. We have talked also about canvas, woven, print inspiration in alliances. We have talked about this iridescent aspect, but we haven't talked yet about color block. Color block were very popular. If you remember the collection of Jean Sander, I think it was spring and summer 2011. She had made this color block silhouettes, very popular, and since then color blocks have been very popular. And we have seen that on the direction of the trend, it was slightly falling down because the prints were gaining some popularity. But they are still there, and of course you need to renew them. And the way you will renew it is with the fabric. So we will use fancy fabrics and playful fabrics such as neoprene, foam, something that will be very childish. And the goal here, as you can see on this Yoji Y-free basket, is to have a good ratio between the color and the fabric. It's like when you were a child and you had, this kind of bear that was composed of different touches, different fabric, different color. It will be the same thing for the garment or the accessories to provide this kind of educational touch and sensorial feeling by having, for instance, one fabric, one color that will be different per block. So to have a complete sensorial aspect for your accessory in terms of block. So this is what our designers have developed. So this kind of swimsuit, still with different kind of touches, different kind of color. We will play also on very compact fabric inspired by the sportswear. The Bermuda, short Bermudas will be also very popular, and also for the women's wear. Also bicolor parkas with two different color, two different fabric. and very simple design from the 90s for the menswear with this kind of very simple also graphic. So we were talking about, you remember the wine label, it was just about graphics. So here you don't put any letter, it's just a sign, it's just a symbol that will represent a logo or that will represent the message you want to carry on. The second aspect is called geographic. With the French spelling, because it's almost white, blue, and red, such as a French flag. And we'll also have another orientation, let's say a French-oriented orientation also later. But we will also continue this kind of very simple design from the 90s. If you remember, maybe you're too young for that, but the soap France, I don't know if it does ring a bell to you. But we can say that in the 90s, we also have an influence that what was called the no fashion style, that is related to the France style. They will wear white T-shirts, just a pair of jeans and a pair of Converse. And the men, sometimes they will wear a check shirt. So in the 90s, we had this kind of no fashion style, very simple. We had, as I said, also the ethnical style, and we also had the 70s that were popular in the 90s, and they are all coming back in a more refined way. So very simple, and we will also have this geometric pattern that we will apply on the garments. And just note that on this silhouette, we also have a bright green that will renew, if you want to bring some novelty in the silhouette composition, that will renew a little bit more the white, blue and red that you can see everywhere. So as I said, you can place a touch of acid green to renew the stripes, color stripes, renew also the geometrical checks. But this story is very, very easy and very commercial, so very easy to apply for the children's wear, women's wear, menswear, and so on. You can apply it to any industry, and it still works very well when we look at the figure in terms of business. The third one is more focused on the movement I was explaining you about in the introduction, the Memphis style. So the goal is to play with geometric shape, very simple, very easy, but with the color range that we have developed, so very playful, very childish. We can also have this kind of foamy neoprene fabric, as you can see here on the sweatshirt. And in terms of prints, to have this kind of inspiration of geometrical dots. Also to play let's say figurative or narrative patterns, such as these little birds for the junior market. You can see also this Memphis inspiration for the print, for the sweatshirt of the boy. And if you are in the children's wear market, or even the youth market, you can play with the candy inspiration that you have here, or ice cream. We will see, but we can talk about it now, that the past season, we have talked about a Californian inspiration. So it was about palm trees, pineapple, all, this American West Coast inspiration that was very popular on the fashion design. And step by step, we are moving to the European coast, and we will talk no more about palm trees, but it will be more about small ice cream that you can eat on shore, or the last theme of this season that we have called French Riviera, so no more about the Californian coast, but more about the white, seal white, blue, white, and red that you can find in the Sailor Code that are still very, very popular everywhere, not only in France, but all around the world. Everywhere you can find some inspiration and create your own design while remaining on the trends. And of course, after, it will be up to you to adapt these trends to your brand DNA according to the position you have, whether you want to have something natural, more luxurious, more technological, or more mainstream. Et voilà, thank you very much.